This one's a little bit different. It shows up in a lot of 18th century cookbooks, but we don't do it necessarily today. You know it's going to be good though because it's got bacon in it. This one's a bacon fraise. Thanks for joining us today. So this is another one of these recipes from the Universal Cook, 1773. The author was John Townshend, and he is the master of the Greyhound Tavern in Greenwich, England. So here let me read you this one so you can kind of get an idea about what a fraise is, because he does explain it in this very simple, very short recipe. A bacon fraise. Take 8 eggs, beat them well together with a little cream and a little flour like any other batter. Fry very thin pieces or slices of bacon and pour some of this over them. And when one side is fried, turn the other, pour more over that. And when both sides are fried, serve it up. So it's sort of like a pancake with meat in the middle. In this particular circumstance, it's got bacon in the middle. Sometimes you'll see these where they actually do it with fruit or say, like apples. So take a thin slice of apple, they might fry it up, and then they'll take this batter, pour it on one side, put the stuff in. So we'll get started on it. Let's make up the batter for this. This one's so simple. I've got some eggs here. I'm gonna half this. I don't know how many they were making, but 8 eggs and all. It's gonna be a giant recipe. So we're gonna half this. I'm using 4 eggs here. To the 4 eggs, I'm going to add some cream, half a cup, and we could add just milk. If we were making a less expensive version, we could make this with just water if we really needed to. But we're gonna make this with a nice heavy cream. Now this is pretty thick, so we don't need a ton of flour. He just actually says a little bit of flour. I've just got some whole wheat flour here, and we're just gonna add that in until we get where we wanna be with this batter. There, our batter looks really good. It's the right kind of consistency. So now that the batter's ready, it's time to move on to the bacon. Today, I've got just regular wonderful bacon that I got at the store. I don't have any of that wonderful Ossabaw hog bacon that we got from Conner Prairie. I used it all up. Sorry about that. So today we're gonna be using just modern bacon. Let's get this in the pan. Okay, I've got the fire going here. I'm gonna keep a little bit of flame in the back just to keep the smoke out of the kitchen. But I've got a smaller fire underneath the spider here, and we're gonna toss in some bacon. I'm not gonna crowd the pan with bacon because we have to do a lot of work here. So I'm just gonna work with like 3 pieces or so, maybe 4 if they shrink up a lot. So I've got my 4 pieces of bacon just about right. We don't want to overdo it. We don't want to underdo it, but we definitely don't want to have raw bacon in the middle of these guys. So you want to make sure they're cooked up proper. So I'm going to distribute them around this pan. We don't have too much grease hanging out in the pan. That's good. So let's put some batter on top of these. I don't have a big spoon here. I'm going to go ahead and flip these up basically right away and get the other side coated. So when it looks like they're cooked basically up on both sides and you have a sufficient quantity of batter on both sides, they're done. It's time to pull them off. So obviously these guys smell great. All that wonderful bacon smell in the kitchen, it's great. And they're definitely interesting looking. Actually, as I was cooking them, I was reminded of that episode that we did with the German recipe where we took the bratwurst and we had the choux pastry dough. I think this probably is a pretty similar situation, except that we sort of cook the item and then put the stuff on top. Let's see what they taste like. Wonderful mix between the bacon taste and a flavorful pancake dough that goes over the top of that. And you know, what this makes me think of is, number one, we didn't put a lot of spices into the dough. It didn't have ginger in it, didn't have sugar, or didn't have sugar, it didn't have salt in it. But in with the bacon flavor comes all these other flavors, and it kind of flavors the dough properly. It seems to me like this might be a way that if you don't have a lot of bacon, but you want to have this sort of bacon dish, right? You want to make it seem like you have a lot of bacon, then you can do this with it. You can take these smaller bacon pieces and then you can cover them up and put the dough around them, and all of a sudden it's like you have a lot more bacon than you had before. Such a wonderful recipe, and one of these ones that's certainly different than anything I've experienced in a modern sense around here. You'd never see something like this, a Fraze, F-R-A-Z-E. One of those recipes that disappears in the 19th century cookbooks, but you see them in the 18th century cookbooks. Wonderful taste, wonderful flavors. It's so great to reach back into history. Bring one of these forward and try it out and reintroduce it to people and get them connected with their history. I love the flavors, love the tastes on this. Such a wonderful recipe and a great way for us to experience history. I want to thank you for coming along with us on this particular experiment and all the wonderful support we get when you watch our videos, you comment on them, or you share them with your friends. Thank you so much for that support of what we do. And I want to thank you for coming along as we savor the flavors and the aromas of the 18th century.